2, Wild West. Okay, right here. It's kind of open shot. Somebody just holding the flower, looking at it, and then it switches to this Too Slim, which is actually he's a pimp, if you can tell. Like got a feather in his hat.
Oh, that was Santa Claus seeing that coat.
So he's kind of pimping. And then he reads things says, "No sir." Then it switches over to a wide shot of everybody. This is Joey. He's just kind of random, so he just kind of poked his head in the shot. I didn't really just want to, because he has like a mask on that constantly stays as a smiley face. And he reads, "It just don't seem right." Then Woody Paul looks up at him, says, "What don't seem right, Too Slim?" And switch over here. You got Too Slim the pimp. You got this holding the flower. You probably can't tell because it's supposed to be on the side. And he's kind of dangling at him like this.
I'm sorry, I'm surprised that Woody Paul wouldn't be saying, you know, something like, well, such and such, the school marm can't go across the prairie. She's supposed to be working for me.
She's supposed to be so wrong. She's one of those that ran away.
This may be the way Spike Lee would do this film.
All the plays, all the...
Okay, then he shows them the flyers talking about Miss Mom's taking the kid across the prairie to look at the Alamo, way beyond the valley being dangerous. And Woody Paul, he's not really looking at him or paying attention. He's looking down because actually he's working. I ain't sure what he's working on yet, but he's actually working on this device, saying, "Okay, sure, that'll be fine." And Too Slim the pimp, he turns and looks at him and says, "I'm a slut." No, he doesn't, but he says, "What are you doing?" Then Woody Paul looks back down. It says, "It's time saving clock." He frowns. It says, "The time saving clock." Then switch to the side view from the left side of Woody Paul, and he says most clocks just tell time. And you come back over here, and you see he has his tipping cane, which you'll notice I forgot to draw it throughout it.
Continuity's everything.
So he just asks, he says, "Yep, that's the purpose, Woody Paul." Then he shows the POV of Woody Paul looking down at the little device in his hand. Then he says, "Well, you're always saying you wish you had more time to do this or that or the other thing." And over here it shows he actually pulling the lever down. It was supposed to show, it wasn't really high or low. It was like, I meant to do it like that, but I forgot. It was like light, dark, and then it's like which one it was. And he says, "Well, now you have more time." Joey over here plays a little mad scientist theme. Too Slim the pimp grabs his forehead and frustrates and says, Thank you, Joey, the cowpoke king." And Joey gives him a thumbs up back. And for some reason, he gets super close to his ears and whispers. It says, "Now, Woody Paul, remember when one of those contraptions opened up that, what did you call it?" And his eyes kind of shift over there, shift to that way and looks, then he drops his head and says, "Demodulated trans-temporal gateway." I should have showed him smack, and that's what I should have did. And this supposed to be, now Too Slim the pimp pointing back to like a little swirly little thing kind of in the background. And
That's the gateway.
And that's one where we've been dealing with those consequences.
It's like on Stargate Atlantis.
It's still there. They still haven't gone through this.
And this one shows, I didn't really know how to do it, so I just said, Woody Paul just kind of just throws it back and just change the subject real quick. So what are you going to do about Mrs. Mom's trip? Then, I don't know what happened yet. But then right here, he's kind of frustrated with him asking. He says, "I don't know right now." And he gets the idea, that's what the light bulb's right there for him. And "Why don't you ask Ranger Doug?" Then plops down his foot. I'm going to explain what it is because y'all gonna be confused.
It's got a duck foot.
It's not. It's a duck foot, but it's really Ranger Doug foot because he's wearing like one of them costumes that you actually have your feet.
I guess we'll find out in a second.
And Too Slim gets close on the duck face, even though it's a stuffed animal and talks to it. How you been, Turbo? "Oh, a bit sweaty and horseflies are biting early this year, but other than that, No
Taco Bell looks
complaints.
like it's coming out of the butt of the horse.
Right here, you can see that it's kind of like, I don't know how to show it. Yeah, he shows a little flyer on Ranger Doug. Ranger Doug, have you seen this? Ranger Doug. I have my crusty saddle companion. Yeah, Woody Paul pops over the pimp's shoulder and says, "We calling you crusty or saying your saddle's crusty?" Then Ranger Doug, this is Ranger Doug. He has no shirt on, as you can tell, because he's
Those piercings, I see.
no, it's just his nose.
Okay.
I mean, he takes the flyer from pimp. It says as well. I think I wrote this wrong, so I'm gonna skip that part. I'm a keeper of the cowboy way. Then we come over here and get a close shot of Ranger Doug, all happy, saying that long speech that everybody has said already. Then it switches over to close up the pimp saying, "Ranger Doug, Mrs. Marm is planning a field trip across the open prairie. We can't let her go." Just fade out the happiness.
Now, we know that Maxie feels kind of like, he didn't do a good job on this. But what do you guys think? Does it do the job? Yes.
Yeah.
It does.
I thought it wouldn't be done, but it's all done.
Yeah.
I find it really hilarious.
Nice.
As I've said already I've said that we're looking at diverse ways of designing these characters. They're very different from person to person to person, which is once again the diversity of the room, who we are as individuals. I kind of like the cartoony look that you created. I mean, I kind of think about, I was looking at this and I was sort of thinking, instead of being in a bunkhouse, maybe they'd be like out in front of a stop and go.
I like
It'd
the
be
duck.
really hilarious
The
to
duck's,
warning about Mrs. Marm because he's a pimp and Mrs. Marm's his bitch, so he's warning. I find it hilarious.
As I said, I mean, to think of it, this is a story, and we're interpreting it differently from person to person. Think filmmakers, once again, I mentioned Spike Lee before, okay? If Woody Allen did this, there'd be different cowboys again. They would look differently or something like that, all depending on and same thing with, once again, James Cameron doing this, they would look one way. Once again, Steven Spielberg, they'd look another way. Just it's due to the interpretation, from the script to the screen, Line quality, it seems okay from here. It stands out pretty well.
I kept switching between the brush and the pen, so the ones with the pen are like super thin.
Did it get better as you went along? You started to feel
I
more
like the
comfortable
brush
with it?
better, actually.
So what?
The brush, I got better. When I first started, I was shaky
Yeah.
with the hands.
Was the ink light in color? Was it not black?
Oh, I scanned it in, then printed it back out. 'Cause I actually did the drawing before I did the titles.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Down the way, I'm looking at, down the way, quite a few of you will be doing storyboards in the computer in Photoshop. It's quicker to do them by hand, and then you can scan them, and of course you can throw color at them, a lot easier, and sometimes cleaner. Once again, if I wanted a blue sky, and you wanted a gradient in it, well, it's real easy to do in Photoshop. Something that, down the way, and that's perfectly acceptable. I know a lot of friends that do storyboards, and they do them that way. The only problem with that is you can't do them, once again, if you could have a 4-hour gig where someone wants you to have one done in 4 hours, well, you're not going to do it in Photoshop because it's going to take longer than that, But it's always about putting that best foot forward kind of thing, I've got 10 and a half, so I want to get that 10 and a half in the door. Good, congratulations.